Friday the 13th. Well, now, is this one? Where does this rank in as far as your taste as far as franchises go for horror movies?
This is not my favorite franchise. This is probably like way down at like number 4, maybe number 3. I don't know. Maybe even number 5.
Okay, way down.
They've just never been my favorite. They've just never been my favorites. I think that there's a lot of plot holes and weird convoluted stuff that is hard for me to overlook.
Yeah.
But they are very fun. They are very fun movies.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't one of my top favorite franchise. It might be pretty close now because of all the watching I've been doing. But yeah, I was more of a Freddy guy because he had personality, and
Yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street is my number 1 for sure.
yeah. Oh, let me open my beer. I have the Flying Chancla by Dark Sky Brewing.
Oh, nice. I am drinking our Beer Babes Family Babe Brew from Big Brewing here in Norman.
Oh, I just had that yesterday.
I'm a big fan. I love the way this one turned out.
Me
It
too.
just kicked, so it's all gone today. There's no more.
Yeah, it was a good hazy.
Yeah, very, very good.
But yeah, so back to Friday the 13th. But going through all this, I developed a nice appreciation for it. I know it's initially it was a kind of a I don't want to say rip off, but it was done after the Michael Myers thing, the Unstoppable Force killer.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, we're gonna go from our worst to first, and Amanda, you have the honors since you're my guest.
Okay, so my least favorite, the worst one of these movies is Jason Goes to Hell.
Okay, why that one?
I don't even know what's going on in this movie.
Mhm.
It's like, who actually wrote this? Like the movie, it was finally, the franchise was starting to gain a little bit more steam.
Yeah.
And then now we have Jason and he gets, killed, and then he needs to be resurrected. But in order to be resurrected, because like in every other movie, he's just resurrected because he's like a supernatural force. But instead of that, he has to like now possess someone. And in order to retain his body, he has to possess someone that he's related to.
Right.
So now he has a half sister, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like all of these things we never heard about before. And then the actual resurrection is very like, why does this happen this way? It can't just be Jason trying to escape hell the way a normal demon would.
Right.
The coroner has to basically like eat his heart.
Yeah. And what overcame the coroner to say, hey, I need to eat this heart right now?
Right. It's just like, oh no, Jason's getting in my head and now I have to eat this heart. And if Jason can just get in your head, why can't he just like possess you that way? But the coroner eats his heart. It's like Catholic exorcists hate this one simple trick. All you have to do is eat a heart and
Right.
you get possessed. But it's just not, this movie is just not for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I also have this one as my worst. And
I'm glad that we agreed on that, honestly.
I feel like, because Jason's not really in it most of the time.
Right.
It's
No,
like
he's not.
all these people who are possessed by him that are killing. And so we're lacking that, the big, huge, unstoppable force going at you, hacking
Yeah.
away, slashing. And so, then of course, that one scene in the house where his heart comes out and just starts crawling around and screaming and
Right.
screeching.
The heart is now like a demon baby, and
Yeah.
it comes out of, what's his name? Is it Randy? It comes out of his like throat or whatever,
Mhm.
and then is like crawling around.
And then it goes up Aaron Gray's, privates.
Up her hoo-ha
Yeah.
to be reborn. But instead of having him like really be reborn, he just like pops out of the floorboards. He's like fully grown and dressed and masked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
The coolest part of this whole movie is at the very end when he gets dragged to hell and then the Freddy glove comes
Yeah.
out and pulls down
the
the
Freddy
mask.
Krueger, like the little Freddy Krueger hand coming up, and then the laugh. That is best part of this movie. The only good thing about this movie is that it led to Freddy versus Jason.
10 years later, but it's still
Yeah. Oh my God. It took so long.
Right. All right. What do you have for number 11 on your Friday the 13th list? You know, it'd been better if we had 13 movies, but there's only 12.
Right. There aren't 13 movies, which is weird.
They need to make
somebody
one more.
needs to jump on this.
Right.
I think I really A New Beginning.
Okay.
I think everybody hated that movie.
Yeah, Friday 5.
Yeah. I think everybody hated that movie. I think Corey Feldman was the only like fun part about this movie.
Yeah, in the flashback scene.
Yeah, in the flashback scene. I just really, I don't know. It was weak. It was just a weak entry into the franchise.
Yeah. I have it ranked a little bit higher, but yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, it at least, you know, he's in it. Well, we think he's in it. And then at the very end, they twist. Oh, it was really the paramedic.
Yeah. So I watched, I don't know if you watched Crystal Lake Memories.
No, I haven't.
It's a time investment. It's almost 7 hours long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I think it was originally supposed to be like a mini series for Shudder that they did. So I think it was supposed to be like a 6-episode long like history of the films.
Oh, okay.
It's really, really good, but you have to like break it up because it's just so long. But in that movie or in that documentary, they talk about how this movie was supposed to set up a completely different guy, you know, Roy, the paramedic, as being like the new Freddy, or I'm sorry, the new Jason. It was like going to be the new, like, okay, now it's no longer Jason, now it's Roy, which is Roy is a terrible name for an unstoppable force.
It really is.
Unstoppable Roy.
Oh my God, Roy's coming.
Everybody hated it so much that they were like, okay, scrap that idea.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed it afterwards, is the mask had a different, like, little markings on it. Instead of the red, it had the gray cheeks.
Yeah, the Roy mask is a different mask.
Right. But at least the whole time we're thinking it's Jason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to Final Friday.
Yeah, Final Friday. Whew. So what is your next one?
My number 11 is Jason X.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
the space one. It was fun and everything, but just they weren't at the lake, even though they had that one VR scene where he's at the lake.
Oh yeah, the VR Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah,
we have to use this to like distract him.
Yeah, they're not teens, they're not counselors. It strays away from what made the first one so great, or at least the franchise, the theme of the franchise. So
yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, as far as like, you know, we got to see new types of kills. In fact, that last scene where he's Uber Jason or Cyber Jason.
Oh yeah, he turns into Uber Jason like he's a cyborg.
But that scene where he's coming down the hall and he's just knocking the doors over, the airlock doors, he's punching through them. I'm like, oh my God, this guy nothing's gonna stop him.
Yeah, he's like unstoppable Uber Jason, which I think was a pretty cool. If we explored that a little bit more, I think it would have been pretty cool. I think this movie was just really fun. So I have it a little bit higher up on my list because it was fun.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. And the actual way that movie came about was like somebody on the production team was like, well, there's nowhere else left to go with this. So if you want another movie, you're just going to have to take it into space.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
And then they did. So yeah, I think that one's ridiculous. I think my favorite theme from that movie is that capitalism always ruins space travel. Like capitalism just ruins space. Right. You know, the same as like the Alien franchise, like capitalism ruins everything.
Right.
So because the only reason that they dissect him is because the company is like pushing them to do so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So capitalism ruined space and Jason.
And almost the franchise.
Yeah. I think people hated this movie too. I think people thought this movie was too corny.
Right.
And if you can be too corny for a Friday the 13th movie, you have a problem.
Yeah, but they came back the next year with Freddy versus Jason, totally redeemed themselves. So
Yeah, Freddy versus Jason is pretty great.
all right, who do you have for which movie do you have for number 10?
So we're kind of in the like mid range here now, where it's like it's not the best, but it's kind of okay. New Blood, I think, is going to be my next.
Okay, yeah, the New Blood.
Yeah, because that movie is like the Carrie versus Jason.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, because now we have telekinesis for some reason.
Yeah.
And the real villain of this movie is actually the psychiatrist.
Oh yeah.
Who is just, yeah, he's just terrible and misogynistic, and he's just pushing Tina, the girl who's got the supernatural powers. He's just pushing her and being terrible to her until she breaks to like trigger her powers, and thinking that, I mean, what could go wrong from that?
Yep. That was it played by the incomparable Terry Kaiser of Weekend at Bernie's fame.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot she was in that.
No, that's
or he, sorry.
Yeah. No,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays a bad guy in Weekend at Bernie's too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a scum.
He's the evil boss, right? Yep. Yeah, so he just plays that trope really well.
Pretty much, yeah. That stereotype. Jason gets resurrected from the bottom of the lake because of the girl, right? Who accidentally killed her dad.
The girl, so she's only there because she's supposed to be confronting her past trauma where her father died in this lake.
Right.
Her father drowned in the lake. And you know how at the end of multiple Friday the 13th movies, we have somebody being dragged into the lake.
Yep.
And sometimes it's by Mommy Voorhees and sometimes it's by Jason. But in this movie, it's her dad. So she didn't just resurrect Jason. She resurrects her own dead dad from the bottom of the lake, and her dad pulls Jason down into the lake.
Who looks pretty good for being at the bottom of the lake for 10 years.
Yeah, right? It's like, oh, okay, that's not bad. So
yeah, bury me in that lake. All right. So that one I had a little bit higher, but for me, number 10 was Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh, come on.
I gotta say,
love that movie.
I gotta say, I do love the head punching scene. When he punches the guy's head off. I love that. I love that kill.
Punches his head right off.
So great. But because it was so misleading, Jason is in Manhattan for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, this movie is actually Jason on a boat.
Yeah, Jason on a boat, right.
And that's because they couldn't afford to film in Manhattan.
Yeah, and most of it's in Vancouver. Just that one scene where he's in Times Square is the only Manhattan scene.
Yeah, and they actually got a cease and desist from the New York City Tourism Board.
Yeah.
Because they were using the I Heart NY logo in the advertising, and so they had that, and they have Jason like stabbed through the heart of it.
Oh, they didn't like that.
And that was like the advertising for that. Those are on YouTube. They're really cool if you look them up. It's very much like a very like 80s, late 80s looking ad, but yeah, they actually got a cease and desist for those. They're like, you can't use this logo.
But what also put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, for me was the final scene where they're in the sewer and all the toxic waste comes, and then now all of a sudden Jason's a little kid.
Oh, so the thing that I love about this movie is all of the toxic waste and dumb things. Like, who wrote this movie, and were they just going off of like a Toxic Avengers vibe?
Yeah,
because there's apparently toxic waste all over Manhattan.
Oh yeah, in the barrel.
In the barrel, yeah. It's like people just hate New York. Within a few minutes of being in Manhattan, the female protagonist is kidnapped.
Oh yeah, by two guys who were just sticking them up for their wallets. And let's kidnap somebody.
Yeah, it just makes New York like so slimy and gross. Mm-hmm. And there's like toxic waste and trash and rats everywhere. And no Ninja Turtles, unfortunately.
They're in the wrong
part. For
part.
a place with a lot of toxic waste, there sure were like a lack of Ninja Turtles.
Well, yeah, especially that rat coming out of the toxic barrel should have turned into Splinter.
Yeah, it comes out of the barrel.
I thought that was Splinter.
It should have been.
Yeah.
That should have been. Maybe that was a nod. What year did Ninja Turtles come out?
Way before. Oh no, maybe it was
Way
around that
before.
time. Maybe it was around
Wait,
89.
so- yeah, so maybe that was like a nod. Maybe that was a little nod to the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Well, they showed Splinter dead in the barrel later on, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I do love I really love the end scene that you don't like, where it's like the toxic waste is about to come down the sewer,
Mhm.
and Jason's gonna get like eaten up in the toxic waste, and he starts like vomiting lake water.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I don't know why that happened, but in my mind, it's like this is his like he starts remembering himself as a child, and then he starts vomiting lake water, and he's remembering his own drowning.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he's so distracted that the toxic waste actually gets him. That scene takes way too long, though.
All right.
There's only so long that they could be holding on to this ladder and not be getting dragged down into the toxic waste.
Right. Yeah. All right. So what do you have for? We're at number 9. Who do you have for? Or what? I keep saying who. Which movie do you have for number 9?
I have Jason X at number 9.
Okay.
Because I did really enjoy like how dumb and fun that movie is.
Mhm.
It's just dumb and fun.
Okay. Let's see. Number 9. I have A New Beginning.
Okay.
That's that's the one we talked about with Jason wasn't really Jason the whole time.
Yeah. So why did you like that movie a little bit more?
Because we get Jason in his element, even though it turns out not to be Jason. It's at the lake. He's going after teens. That whole it still follows all the tropes and everything.
Mhm.
So it fits into the mold of the classic Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That movie actually is not, I don't know. It's a mid-range probably. I probably should have given a little bit more credit.
And I got to say this, growing up, this one I was like around, I must have been like 11 or 12. So when this came on HBO late night, like it was a guilty pleasure for me because of the nudity.
Oh, yeah. This is like, you're not supposed to be staying up late watching this, but you're like,
exactly.
You're like, yeah, like I'm staying up late and I'm seeing boobs.
Right. Exactly. Even though Jason takes the garden shears and sticks them in her eyes and pulls them together. Oh, that was brutal.
Oh, that is a really good death scene, actually.
All right. Number
that one
8.
has some of the best death scenes.
Yeah, that one. And then I think you brought up The New Blood. Is that the one where he swings the girl in the sleeping bag up against the tree? In the sleeping
bag, yeah. He swings her like in the sleeping bag, like around and like hits her in the tree.
Yeah, that was brutal. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's probably like a top 10 horror movie death for me.
Yeah, that one's up there for me too. All right, we're at number 8, right? We're at number 8.
So number 8, I'm doing part 3.
Okay.
That movie was supposed to be a completely different movie. It was supposed to be about Jenny from the previous movie. She was supposed to like take self-defense classes and like take karate and go beat Jason's ass.
Oh.
But the actress refused to be in another Friday the 13th movie.
Okay.
She was like, no. Amy Steele was like, no, I'm not doing this. I think a martial arts centered Friday the 13th movie would have been badass.
Right.
That's the movie I would love to have seen. But this movie was actually like, it did really well at the box office, like right behind Poltergeist.
Well, I think it had to do with it was filmed in 3D. So the novelty of that. Oh,
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it had that extra gimmick.
Mm-hmm. That we lose in the, rewatching it at home.
Yeah, that's true. I like that for the lake scene at the end. It's Mommy Voorhees back again.
Oh, yeah.
And he's pulling her into the lake.
Like, you're in trouble, young man. Get back here.
Yeah. I love the abrupt ending of this movie, too, where it's just like, I mean, I hate the abrupt ending of this movie, where it's like Jason's laying there and he's got like the machete in his head, or is it an axe?
think it's the axe.
Yeah, he's got the axe like in his head, and he's just laying there on the ground. And the police come and they take the girl away, and they just abandon the crime scene. They're like, "This is fine. We
Right.
don't need to investigate this.
No.
We don't know. We don't care how this happened. We're just gonna leave this body there and take this girl away because she's acting crazy."
Right.
So yeah, so it's just abrupt.
Right.
And they just like, they're like, "Okay, this is fine."
I have that ranked as 8 as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lost my spot, but yeah, there it is, number 8, and pretty much we covered it right now. So, what do you have for number 7? Which movie?
The final chapter, which, spoiler alert, it was not the final chapter.
Okay. I like this one.
There were so many more chapters after the final chapter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this is the one where we first get Corey Feldman as Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's pretty good in this, actually. I like the little addition of the monster masks.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. I feel like this is sort of in an 80s movie way, because now there's houses kind of around Camp Crystal Lake, right? So I feel like there are a lot of 80s horror movies that do that, where they take a terrible scene where something bad happened and just put a house on it. Like Poltergeist having the house and, you know, where the graves were. And, you know, I feel like this is sort of in that vein. So I kind of like that part. I think this one has a pretty good ending. It
has one of my favorite endings of all the Jason ones. Corey Feldman is fantastic.
This is a good ending where, you know, he's like made himself up to look like child Jason. And unfortunately, Trish is really, really bad at swinging a machete, and she just knocks the mask off. She's like, "Oh no!" And then just scares me.
Well, and it kind of fits in like when Jenny was on part 2, when she used the her psychology powers to make him think, you know, make Jason stop. And so, I like that one. I have that one ranked a lot higher than you. But so for my number 7, I have Friday the 13th, the remake. The 2009?
Yeah, we agree. Like, I put this one step higher. So this is my next one up. What did you think about that one?
I liked it.
I have a lot of opinions about this movie.
Yeah. Number one, it didn't really need to be made, but they made it. And this is one of the ones I saw in the theater, and I forgot I had seen it until I watched it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember them stumbling upon the weed. I kind of blanked out the very first part, but I remember the weed part. I remember that one douche friend taking out the boat, even though he asked him not to. And then then him going, and then the Asian kid burning his lips on the shot glass.
Oh yeah, which come on. Actually, that guy, Aaron Yu.
Yeah.
I think he was probably the best part about this movie for me. He was like the comic relief character, sort of, and I thought like he was actually probably sorry, Jared Padalecki, but he was probably like the best actor in this movie.
I like the fact that it incorporated a lot of stuff from the first, 13th, even the second, a little bit of the third, a lot of the fourth, and even a bit of the fifth when they checked out the neighbors and the one redneck lady. She was that reminded me of the one from the fifth one. Yeah.
The thing I really like that bothered me about this movie the most is the recap at the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
Where they're basically recapping the original movie so that you know how we got here. But I feel like they could have just used actual scenes from the original movie to recap it.
Oh, yeah, but they wanted the actress to look like Pamela Voorhees, so they needed a new Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like it. And it wasn't enough because
Okay.
Pamela Voorhees is the best part of the original movie.
Okay.
And we just got this little nod to her at the beginning. And I think if they were gonna do the recap, they could have left the recap off.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a recap.
Everybody knows the story.
Oh,
But every
true.
movie kind of does that beginning recap, right?
Yeah. Just to bring everyone up, because maybe not everyone has seen it.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. This movie didn't need to be made, but it was made.
Yeah. And so here we are, stuck in the middle of our lists.
Yeah, and it's just very mid. I also saw this in the theater, but it felt very like 90s teen movie. And this was in like 2009.
All right.
So it made it feel kind of dated somehow, where it was like kind of felt like I Know What You Did Last Summer or one of those. It didn't push the envelope far enough for me.
Let's see here. Where are we at? Number 6?
Number 6, yeah. So that was my number 6.
And so yeah, then my number 6 is New Blood.
Okay.
So
okay.
I have that one, number 6. We already went over it, but I like the whole Carrie versus Jason thing. It gives him something new to overcome.
I wish so one thing that I just thought of that I wish happened in New Blood was I wish that they said dirty pillows like one time. Because that's the best line from the original Carrie movie is when the mom is like, I can see your dirty pillows, or whatever the line is, like, yeah, talking about her boobs. Yeah. And I just wish they said it just one time as a nod to that. It would have been amazing.
That would have been funny, yeah. All right, what do you have for number 5?
Number 5, I have Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay.
I love that movie. That movie is like, that's one of my comfort movies. So I've watched it a bunch of times.
Okay. I go watch it. Yeah, if it's on, I'll stick around for a couple deaths.
I like the guitar scene where JJ gets killed with the guitar. Like, I love that part. But yeah, it should have just been named Jason on a Boat.
Yeah. How did the guitar make noise without an amp?
That's a very good question. Everything in this movie is supernatural. Okay. Jason, the amp.
Yeah, she had a Bluetooth hooked up to the PA in the galley there, or wherever she's at.
Yes. What do you have for number 5?
Number 5, I have Freddy versus Jason.
Okay.
I saw this one. This is another one I saw in the theater. Freddy wants to kill again, but no one's afraid of him anymore. So he resurrects Jason, who's in hell, by the way.
Right, he's in hell.
To start scaring the kids. And then Jason runs amok and doesn't know how to hold it in or bring it in, because that's who Jason is. And Freddy gets pissed off at him. And then the epic final scene, or the epic battle, I should say, not final scene, but the battle is just amazing. It's everything I wanted in Freddy versus Jason, and we got it.
Yeah, I love this ending. I hate this for Freddy that Jason had a technical win.
Mm-hmm.
Like that when this movie first came out, I remember actually being very mad at that. Like being mad that, like, I mean, and you do get like the wink at the end from Freddy, but I just remember being like, no, there's no way Freddy would just fucking not annihilate him. And I was such a nerd about it. Like, I remember I was just telling anybody that would listen how mad I was.
That was your small hill you were willing to die on?
Yes. It's like, no, that would not happen. Also, a rave in a cornfield is just peak Midwestern teenager behavior. Mm-hmm. And I love that.
Yeah, I like the rave too. And we get a nice little Kelly Rowland cameo, or not cameo, but she's in it.
Yeah.
All right. That was number 5. What do you have for number 4?
So Freddy versus Jason is my number 4.
Oh, okay.
So we're just a little bit offset there. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Friday the 13th Part 2.
Okay. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, Jason's finally the killer in this one. He's the lead. Even though he has a burlap sack for a mask.
Baghead Jason.
Yeah, Baghead Jason.
Right. I kind of love that because, he doesn't have his mask yet. And it almost seems like they didn't really know where they were going to go with Jason's character at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Jason's like real debut as the killer.
Right. And we see his he can't let his mom go because he still has her severed head in that little altar that he made.
Oh, yeah. And you see her severed head in Alice's refrigerator at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that's right. He went to go get it, right?
Yeah.
What's Alice doing with the fucking head?
No, he put it there before he killed her so that she was. So he's just like carting his dead mom's head around, going into town, you know, because Jason drives. And I love that for him because, like, you know, Michael Myers does not drive a car.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to walk everywhere. Maybe he's taking Ubers, but he, like, you know, he drives into town with his mom's severed head, like, in the passenger seat, I guess. I guess that's how this is happening. And he puts it in Alice's refrigerator. And then, you know, she opens it and she sees it and she's shocked. And then he, like, immediately kills her. And then we fast forward to Camp Crystal Lake. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this was like a training camp for camp counselors. So there's not going to be any kids there. Is that what this was?
Yeah, that's what I got out of it too.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's a dumb idea. Sorry. It's just having a training camp for camp counselors in a place where a bunch of camp counselors died is a bad idea.
Yeah, it is a very bad idea. And I'm surprised that they went with it. But hey, here we are. And they went with it. And then also at the end when Ginny uses psychology to stop Jason in his tracks and make him think of she's wearing her sweater and everything. I thought it was really good, very, very clever use of Jason's psyche against him.
Yeah, very, very clever. Overall, my favorite trope from the first few movies is car trouble.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The cars in these movies never run when they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
The real villain is the mechanic.
Yeah, whoever they take their car.
The mechanic in town who's ruining everybody's car. These movies, this whole franchise is just an extended ad for your car's extended warranty. So get that warranty on your cars, everyone. Get OnStar.
Answer those phone calls. Stop letting them go to voicemail.
Right. Stop letting it go to voicemail. You got to answer. You need that extended warranty. It could save your life one day.
Yes, especially if you live in upstate New York.
Yeah.
All right. That was what do we have? That was 4. What do you have for number 3?
For number 3, let's see. I did a little last minute rearranging here.
Okay.
Jason Lives.
Oh, I have the same one for number 3.
Oh, okay. I like this movie. Like, I like the beginning of this.
With Horshack.
Yeah.
Ron Palillo.
Yeah. The beginning of this movie is absolutely fantastic. I love all of the meta humor in this too. And the little fourth wall breaks are just great.
Yeah.
Like, this movie does not take itself too seriously. And I love that. And I love the whole resurrection scene. It's like people hated A New Beginning so much. That movie bombed so badly that we had to, like, go resurrect Jason from his grave and make sure he was the killer from now on.
Right.
Yeah, but the resurrection scene where it's like, oh no, he dropped the mask in the grave, and then, oh no, lightning struck. You know, it's so good. It's so good. And it's so gross when he, like, gets out of the grave and all of these, like, maggots are falling off of him. And this is the Jason that I wanted.
Yeah, it totally 100% agree with you. I love that resurrection scene with the maggots and the worms. And thank God they had a terrible coffin on him, because otherwise we wouldn't get all that.
That's true.
And then just the rest of the time, him going and killing folks. I forget. Oh, that's right. This is when they Tommy, and we get Tommy back. Tommy Jarvis, played by a third different person, who looks younger than the second one, or than the New Beginning one.
Right. Yeah. So we get Tommy back, and Tommy's sort of like the arch enemy now.
Yeah.
And we introduce the trope of people knowing that Jason is killing people but not being listened to, which just happens in every movie after this one. Somebody knows that it's Jason,
And no one
and then
believes him.
everybody else, especially the police, are like, no,
Yeah, he's dead. He
it's
can't do that.
you.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's not him. It's you. Let me lock you up while it keeps happening.
Right. Yeah.
And then, of
And
course,
then the total shock and surprise when it turns out to be Jason.
right. And then at the very end, they have he's thrown into the lake, tied to a rock, thrown into the lake. And then he doesn't die till the boat propeller chops him up.
Right. So we have my favorite death scene of these movies is the triple decapitation scene.
Oh, in the paintball scene.
Yeah, in the paintball scene, is like these guys are just out there playing paintball and they're like lined up perfectly, and Jason just goes for it. It's just like.
Yeah, that one's that's a good kill. That's a great kill.
Yeah, but that's where Jason gets like trapped under. He's trapped underwater now, still alive or dead. Like, we don't know.
Right. Well, in part 7, they bring him back with the electrocution, right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 2. Which movie do you have for number 2 of all time?
Number 2 is number 2 for me. The
second
movie.
Very nice.
So, yeah, number 2 is again, like we already talked about it, but I like Baghead Jason, and I think that one is probably like, it's a solid entry in the franchise. I love it.
All right, so for number 2, I have the first one, the original, the one that started us all off. It's like I said, we said earlier, it was kind of a ripoff of Michael Myers, but they did it in their own way. They threw it at a camp and a bunch of counselors. They added a cool backstory, so it's not just someone out there killing. And then the twist, the mom being the killer, and how she goes from a concerned person to like, you could see her ratcheted up, like in that one scene, going like nuts by the end of her little dialogue.
And she is so creepy. I love when she does the like little kid Jason voice. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. When she's talking to him, right?
Yeah. She's like, "Don't let her get away, mommy." And then she switches to her mommy Voorhees voice, and she's like, "I won't, Jason." And I'm like, "Ooh, that is creepy," and I love it.
Yeah. And then just the Alice decapitating her I wasn't ready for it. I thought she was gonna win, but I didn't think it was gonna be a decapitation. That was brutal. That was great.
Yeah,
loved it.
That was a really, really good scene. I also like the scene where Bill gets pinned to the door with the arrows.
Oh yeah,
And then she like opens the door.
Right.
I don't know why that makes me laugh every time. It's just like, I don't know, physics. This wouldn't happen, but I love that scene.
Oh yeah, with just like 4 or 5 arrows holding up a human body.
Yeah, to a flimsy door.
To a flimsy door, yeah. My favorite death scene was when Kevin Bacon died.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and this is a very young Kevin Bacon in this movie.
Yeah, with the he was the one that was in the cot, right? And the spear came through his throat. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Good special effects. I forgot the guy's name. I want to say like Tom Savini. I'm probably butchering his name. He's the one who did all the early ones.
Yeah, it is. That's correct.
Okay. All right, and then what's your number 1 Friday the 13th?
Okay, so my number 1 is the first movie.
Okay.
Number 1 is my number 1.
All right. That's fair.
I think Pamela Voorhees is a creepier and better villain than Jason.
Yeah, because she has kind of like what I mentioned before about Freddy. She has a personality.
Yeah. And she has a personality, and she has a more solid reason for doing this.
Right. Yeah.
She has a strong motivation. And that's something that we don't really get from Jason ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so his motivation is that he grew up in the woods when he was supposed to have drowned, but he grew up in the woods, and he was like just a feral kid in the woods. And he saw his mom decapitated.
Right. And
I don't know. It's hard to figure out what Jason's motivations are for killing people.
Right, yeah, especially since like he can't talk, he can't. Everyone just assumes why he's doing it.
Yeah, because we never get like a solid motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we've talked about this before, and I said the exact opposite thing about Michael Myers. I know. It's very hypocritical of me because I don't want a backstory for Michael Myers. I just want Michael Myers to be a silent killing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I didn't like Rob Zombie's Halloween, is because it gave us too much backstory for
Oh yeah, with the home life and everything.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want this because I don't want to empathize with him.
Right.
And maybe I have a little bit of that with Jason as well. I'm like, I don't want to empathize with Jason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I get it. His life sucked.
Right.
Like, put on your mask and kill people. Yeah,
right.
but I just, yeah, that's pretty much where I stand with that.
Okay. And then my number one is actually the final chapter, which you indicated is not the final chapter, but I love this one. I think it was probably because I think it introduced me to the series. And
okay.
I loved it. I think it's perfect as far as Friday the 13th movies go. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got the partying teens, being too loud. That's why Jason kills them. I like the I forgot his name. The guy who comes to look for his sister. And he's like Mr. He reminds me of, he should be on a paper towel roll or something.
Is it Tommy? Is it?
No, Tommy's is the kid's name. Tommy and Trish.
Not Tommy. I don't think I have that written down.
Yeah, I didn't.
There are so many characters, it's hard to like not get them mixed up.
Yeah, I didn't write his name down either. But and then the final scene with Tommy going ham, shaving his hair. Remember me, Jason? Remember me?
Jimmy. It's Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy. Oh, okay, Jimmy is the one looking for his sister.
Is it Jimmy? Oh,
it might be. I don't know.
He gets the like corkscrew to the hand, right?
I think so. Does he?
Okay. Which is another great death scene.
That is the corkscrew scene when he gets stuck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also get a young Crispin Glover. He's in it too. He's one of the kids that partying. He's the one who was like, he was the one worried about getting laid, and he finally got laid. Good for him.
Good for him, sort of.
Yeah.
Good for him.
But then if you get laid, you get killed. That's the that's the trope.
Yeah, that is the trope. That's a pretty good trope.
There's
some major horror tropes that came from this franchise. So even if you don't like this franchise, you have to respect its place in horror history because so many of those tropes kind of came from this franchise.
Yeah. And we go back to number 6. That was the inspiration or the muse, if you will, for Scream.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the writer for Scream saw this and was so imprinted upon him that he wrote Scream because of Jason Part 6.
Oh, see, that's really cool. That's such a cool fact. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that I can totally see that. That makes sense. But yeah, I like on this one how Tommy is the genius and disguises himself.
Right.
Yeah, but you should watch Crystal Lake Memories because there is a really good interview with Corey Feldman about these movies and about like the filming and everything. It's really good. There's blooper reels.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So those it's worth watching that just for the blooper reels from that.
Mm-hmm.
I won't spoil him too much, but Kane Hodder, who in the later films plays Jason, was kind of a prankster on set
okay.
and would just do the most random things to people during filming. Just hilarious, just like random things that he would do. And, just seeing everybody laughing when they're supposed to be like scared and screaming is very fun.
Yeah. All made up like Jason. And then there's just laughing, right?
Yeah. And then they're just laughing. It's very fun. It's a time commitment though, because it is 7 hours.
I feel kind of bad because Kane Hodder was such a great Jason, but yet I have a lot of his movies in my bottom half of my rankings.
Yeah. Well, those movies were never bad because of him.
True. You're right.
It's never his fault.
Nope.
Yeah. And with Jason X, there's actually like a quote from him where he thought that was going to be stupid. where he's like, when I first heard that's what I was going to be doing, I was almost like, I'm not going to do this.
They almost didn't get him, huh?
Yeah, they almost didn't get him. They almost had to find another Jason at that point.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, I did something where I went and I looked at people's rankings on the internet. So I did my own tallying from Collider, AV, IMDb, Ranker, Screen Rant, Looper, Paste, and IndieWire. And I saw where their rankings were. Their writers or the authors of the articles ranked their. They're I don't know how much of a film critics they are. They're not like Ebert and Paula Kane.
Right.
But I added tallied them all up, and this is my ranking that I get from them from adding all of theirs and combining them and then averaging them all out.
Oh,
So
okay.
number 12, they have Part 5, A New Beginning. Then
Really?
I think people really did not like the fact it wasn't Jason, and it was really
People really hated that movie. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
The highest ranking out of all of them came from Looper, and they put it 6th, but most of them had it like 10, 11, or 12.
Huh.
Then the number 11th rank was Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Boo! Boo these people.
Number 10th place, they have Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
Okay. See, that should be down there. That earned that spot.
Yeah.
That earned a low spot.
9th, they have Part 7, The New Blood.
Okay.
I
Fine. like that movie, but fine.
I did too. Number 8, in 8th, they had Friday 13th, the remake. Then
Okay. That earns a low spot too. So it did it.
the 7th overall is Jason X.
Okay. That's fine too. I can see it. I just want to know what their tops are now.
Then it's Part 3. In that's 7th, I think.
I'm surprised that one is that low.
Then Freddy vs. Jason is next. Then Part 2. Then Part 1.
Really?
Yeah, they have 3rd overall. When I added them
Really?
all up, a lot of them had it. Let me see, the Part 1, 4th, 2nd, 8th. IMDb has it 8th, and that's
Eighth?
not on their ratings. You know how the users can rate them all, and then they have the overall score. That's just the person who wrote up the article. I was surprised on that one too. 8th. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty
Wow.
harsh.
Yeah, that is pretty harsh.
Everyone else has them either 2nd or 3rd, basically.
Yeah.
And then 2nd overall is Jason Lives Part 6.
This is a pretty good one. I like that movie.
A lot of them had it 2, even 1. Screen Rant had it 8th, and AV had it 6th. Otherwise, it's either 1 or 2. And then overall, Final Chapter, a lot of them had it number 1, except for Paste had it number 5. Everyone else had it 1.
Really?
Yep.
That surprises me that came in so high.
Not me, because that's my number 1. I love it. I think it's the best. So anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was fun. It was I watched when I came up with this idea and I reached out to you and you said, "Cool, let's do it." I watched like 4 or 5 of them in a row, and then I put it on the back burner for such a long time, and then I watched like the final 7 like in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, you just you binged it. So
Yeah.
I did the first 3 about a week ago, but I watched those movies every year, so
Okay.
I'm very familiar with them. Like I just watch those every year around Halloween, because you're thinking about it and you put them on. So I've seen those a lot, but so I watched those and then I kind of blew through 4, 5, and 6. Like I wish I'd paid closer attention because I've seen those less. Jason Takes Manhattan I watch all the time. But I just kind of when I had a spare hour or 2 to sit down with did the rest. But I ended up having to go. I went and purchased physical copies of several of the movies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I do have they're streaming on Max right now, right?
All except for 2 of them I had to rent.
So Jason Goes to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, if I'm gonna have to buy this on Amazon, I might as well just go over to vintage stock and buy a copy.
Yeah.
So they had copies for $1.99, like a whole bunch of.
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, this is so embarrassing for this movie to be like, it's $1.99 and they have like 10 copies of it. Nobody wanted to keep their Jason Goes to Hell DVDs.
I can see, I understand why. I mean,
Yeah, so I just went and bought like DVD copies of most of them, like as I saw them at vintage stock.
Okay.
So now I have them in case we ever do this again.
the reboot. Yeah.
Yeah, I like having physical media sometimes, especially for horror movies. It just feels different, putting in a VHS or putting in a DVD.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So they weren't streaming, so I did go and buy them instead of like renting them on Amazon or whatever. But.
Yeah, I just watched it on Max because I was lucky it was on Max, so I got to watch most of them on there. And then, of course, the other two I had to rent.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind renting them because it was for a good cause.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was really fun. It was a really fun rewatch for me. I think if we do something like this again, we should watch a couple of the movies together.
Okay.
We should do like an Amazon watch party or something.
Yeah,
and
I'm
like
in.
watch a couple of the movies together. That way we can get some live notes in there.
Yeah.
Like some live reactions would be fun. Yeah. So I don't know how we would set that up. There has to be a way to do it, but
yeah, we'll figure it out.
I think that would be a good time. Yeah, because I mean, you'd have to remove the audio of the movie.
Yeah. Right.
Unless we were watching something that was old enough that it's fair use now.
Oh yeah. Fair use, copyright laws.
So yeah. So something that's older we could probably do.
Yeah.
And be fine, but.
Oh, they're remaking Nosferatu. Maybe we could watch the original.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I like that. We should do that and then go watch the new one and like review that one after.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll set that up.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Amanda, for your time. And
yeah, thank you.
And I mean, not just for recording this, but just taking the time to watch all those movies to be able to compile your list. And I know you're a way better note taker than I am.
I took so many notes, but like some of my notes just say ridiculous things. Like my notes for the first one, my very first note, writing down watching the first movie is, "Hey, teenage girl, get in the truck with a stranger, then hitchhike the rest of the way."
Oh yeah,
this is fine. And then today,
it was the 70s. It was different back then.
Yeah, well, today this scenario would not work.
Right.
Because no one would ever do that, so it doesn't make sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would have to be a creepy Uber driver.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That you get in the car with.
And that movie's out there for anyone to make, the ride share killer or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That seems like a new developing horror trope.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy rideshare driver, I think, would work really well.
Oh yeah, big time. I like it.
Yeah.
If I knew someone who knew someone, I would pitch it.
We are pitching this idea. This is our pitch. If somebody makes this movie, they stole it from us. This was our idea.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Bye.